All right, Algebra 2, Lesson 4.2, solve by graphing on your calculator. All right, so before we get any further, you're going to want to have one of these handy. Okay, let me see if I can find my other one around here. Oh, it's on the charger. Or one of these. Or the old 83 plus, any of those will work. 84, 84 plus, 83, 83 plus should all follow all the patterns that we're going to do today. All right, so we're talking about solutions, roots, and zeros. All three names mean the same thing. Solutions, roots, zeros. We're looking for where the graph crosses the x-axis. All right, so if we're looking at this particular graph right here, this little sketch, okay, we're crossing at 1 and we're crossing at 3. So 1 and 3 would be solutions, roots, zeros. Okay, zeros because the function equals 0 here. This is 1 comma 0, 3 comma 0. Roots because it's on the ground, the roots, it's at 0. Okay, solutions because a lot of the times we're setting things up to equal 0, and that these are the answers that make the graph equal 0, make the function equal 0. We got 3 possible scenarios. All right, and you can see these are all parabolas. Okay, so that's basically what we're studying here in Chapter 4 is parabolas. So with parabolas, we talked about in Section 1 how they turn around, right? And they're going to have a minimum or a maximum. Okay, because of that, we got 3 possible scenarios. Scenario number 1, the vertex is on the x-axis. If the vertex is on the x-axis, touching the x-axis, there's only going to be one answer. And then it's going to be called a double root because it's going to count twice. But we'll talk about that later. But if it's on the line, there's only going to be one answer. Okay, we could go through the line twice. That's what most of them do, is that they're going to have 2 solutions. They're going to cut through the x-axis twice, whether it's this way or whether it's upside down, cutting through there twice. And then we do have some, and this isn't going to be one we talk about right away, but in a couple weeks, a week or 2 here, we're going to be talking about imaginary numbers. Okay, if my parabola is up here and going up, or down here and going down, we'll never cross the x-axis. There's no real solutions, and then we get into imaginary numbers. Okay, so solve by graphing. Here's our procedure. We're going to go through this slow, but you got to be with me here. Okay, this is like the most important thing for today, and this is a very important thing going forward in your math career as far as Algebra 2B, pre-calculus, all right? You need to know this procedure. All right, so y equals x squared minus 6x plus 9. We don't put the equals 0 in our calculator. X squared minus 6x plus 9. All right, we got it typed into Y1. Graph. Okay, look at mine. Mine's all like zoomed out. Okay, if your graph isn't in the normal negative 10 to 10 window, you can push zoom, standard, zoom 6. And that gets us to our normal negative 10 to 10, negative 10 to 10. Okay, now we're looking here, and we can kind of visually see, and we're like, oh, it looks like it touches at 3. All right, the answer is going to be 3. It's going to be one of those one solution problems. Okay, but we need to make sure because sometimes the graph can be misleading. That looks like it's right at 3, but what if it's 2.99? Okay, you don't know. So here's where we do this. Okay, second trace 0. Second, trace, and we want to calculate the 0. Enter. Left bound, right bound. All right, these are making our little like tunnels. Where are we going to be looking between? So left bound, make sure you're on the left side. Right, scoot your guy over here to the left side of it. Or we talked about it last time of maybe put your guy where you think the answer is, and then left bound, click left like 3 or 4 times. Enter. Go back to where you think the answer is. Click right. Now it says right bound, so click right 3 or 4 or 5 times. And what you've done there, and that's what I do like about these, is it's showing you, hey, I'm only looking between these 2 lines, and you're telling the calculator, find where I cross 0 or touch 0 between these 2 lines. Okay, because these graphs go out forever, infinity, both directions. So what you're doing is you're squeezing it down and telling the calculator, hey, only look between here. And guess in the middle, 2.99999999994. Okay, I guess I did kind of say, ooh, it could be 2.99. All right, but if your calculator gives you 2.999999999, it's 3. Okay, it's going to be 3. So our answer is at 3, 0. So we put 3, 0. All right, we can sketch this out, and we'll get more detailed later. The important part about today is being able to get these answers. Later on, we're going to combine the zeros with all the detailed stuff that we did in section 1, and you're going to have a really detailed graph. All right, let's walk through that one more time. Y equals, type your equation in, x squared minus 6x plus 9 equals 0. Graph, take a look at it. Okay, second trace. This gets you to your calculate menu from the graph. All right, what do you want to calculate on the graph? And there's a lot of good stuff here. 0, min, and max are a lot of things you're going to use in Algebra 2. You could use intersect in Algebra 2. Okay, and in pre-calculus. Then this dy dx. And so options 6 and 7 are things you might use in calculus, if you get that far. Okay, so we want 0. Left bound. So we said, you can just be obviously to the left of where you think it is, or we said go to where you think it is, and then click left a couple times. Right bound, you could just scoot it all the way over there so it's obviously to the right side of where you think the answer is. Or you could go to the answer and then click right a couple times. Guess in the middle. You don't have to guess right on the answer. You could actually guess. You could just hit enter here twice and it would still do it. See, this time I got 3.00000000009, okay? All right. So there's that process. That's going to be a very important process. If you need to go back to that process and watch that part again, please do that. That is a very, very, very important thing. All right. So I want you to try this on your own. X squared plus 4x plus 0. Go ahead and push pause and try to do that on your own. Try to find the answers, the roots, the zeros, and give me a quick little sketch over here. All right, ready, set, go. Okay, let's see how we did. X squared plus 4x plus 0. Was this a 2-part one or a 1-part one? Graph. Oh, this one's got 2. This one's got 2. Okay, so you have to do it twice. Hopefully you caught that. Someone's at the door. Just kidding. Those are the new bells. Looks like we're crossing at 0, and we might be crossing over here at -4. So let's just make sure that's what they are. Sometimes they're a little misleading. They look like they're nice numbers and then don't end up being that. But I think these are nice numbers. So second trace, 0. Okay, we're already on this one, so let's just start here. Left bound. All right, so I'm on where I think the answer is. So click left a couple times. Now, something to think about here, when there's two of them, you don't want to go so far left or so far right that you have both of them inside the same tunnel. All right, so just left a couple clicks. Back to where you think it is, right, a couple of clicks. Okay, so you don't want to have both answers inside the same tunnel, otherwise your calculator is going to get confused. And guess in the middle, 0, 0. Okay, yep, so that one was at 0. Okay, now let's do the other one. Second trace, 0. Slide all the way over to the other one. And you could have done this one first and that one second. It doesn't matter. Okay, left bound. So left. Back to the where we think it is. Right. Guess in the middle. -4, 0. -1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there's my zeros, -4 and 0. Let's just practice the other part of this too. Okay, let's just say you didn't know what the vertex was. You could do -b over 2a, or we can also use our calculator for this. Second trace, is that going to be a minimum or a maximum? That's the lowest point, so that's a second trace minimum. So here's where the minimum is. So left bound, go left a little bit. There's where our minimum is, go right a little bit. Guess in the middle, and our minimum would have been at -2, -4. Just to help us here with our sketch. All right, that part wasn't necessary for that problem, but just to help out a little bit with an accurate sketch there. Okay, sometimes you're going to get these weird story problems. Okay, they're not even stories, it's just words. Okay, and then you got to use the words to set up an equation and then do the problem. Okay, two real numbers have a sum of -15 and they multiply to -54. Wow, what do I do with that? Okay, pick x to be one of the numbers. What would the other number have to be for their sum to be -15? All right, so x plus y equals -15. What would y have to be? -15, if I subtract that x over, minus x. So one of my numbers is x, and the other number, y, would be the same as -15 minus x. So those are my two numbers. If I add those two together, I get -15. Their product should be -54. So x times -15 minus x needs to equal -54. Okay. So I've multiplied this out. -15x minus x squared equals -54. All right. Now here's what we need to do. Now we need to get everything on the same side. And I want to get everything on the same side with x squared being positive, if possible to do it. So I'm going to move these two over there. Plus x squared plus 15x. All right, so now I have 0 equals x squared plus 15x minus 54. And now we're ready to graph and solve. Okay, now we're trying to find the zeros. See, since we added everything over, so this side is now equal to 0. So it's where does this equal 0? So let's type that in. X squared plus 15x minus 54. Graph. All right, pretty steep. Looks like 3 is going to be one answer. All right, and from having 3, we could find our other answer pretty easily. If x is 3, what's the other one? negative 15 minus 3. So we're looking at negative 18. But you're also saying, Mr. Handke, I thought x squareds were going to be parabolas. That looks like a line. Okay, we're just too far in, right? If the other answer was going to be negative 18, it'd be way over here. So we're just too far in to see that. So what we could do is zoom out, and then just click enter in the middle of the graph, and it zooms out. Poof. All right, and you can see we do have a really steep parabola. We said that one looked like it crossed at 3 pretty obviously. And we think this one's going to be negative 18, but we don't know for sure. So second trace, 0. And you're like, where's my guy at? I can't see the little cursor. It's at 0, negative 54 right now, way down here. So you just got to move it to one side or the other. So left bound. See, when they get super straight up and down, this gets a little confusing. So this is where I would recommend putting your guy as close as you can get to the actual answer. And now left bound, clicking left a couple times. Left, left, left. Enter. Back to where I think the answer is. Right, right, right. Enter. Back down to where I think the answer is. Enter a third time. Yes, 3, 0. Okay. Now we need this one. Second trace. 0. Left bound. We got to get all the way over here. So scoot your guy all the way over to the left. It's going to be off the screen for a while. Coming back up, there we are. So this is about as close as I can get to the actual answer. So that's going to be where I go from. So left bound, left, left, left a couple times. Bring it back down. Right, right, right. Guess in the middle. And negative 18, 0. So we had negative 18 and 3. Negative 18 plus 3 is negative 15. Negative 18 times 3 is negative 54. There they are. All right, last thing here, guys and gals. Some problems in the book will just ask you to tell what integers they're between. And if it gives you a picture of the graph or a table, then we're going to go along. We'll play the game, right? We're going to play along and tell which ones they're between. Okay? So this is when it doesn't cross at a nice number, right? This one crosses here. That's between negative 1 and 0. And this one crosses here between 2 and 3. From a table. Ooh. How do I know that? All right, so we want to know, think about what this is. This is when does the y equal 0? When is it something comma 0? This is 2.2 comma 0. So think about the y. When is the y 0? And the y is kind of like the f of x. Negative, negative, positive. How did I go from negative to positive? I had to cross through 0. So my answer, my root, my solution, my 0 is somewhere between negative 4 and negative 3. Two, 5, 1, negative 3. And again, we cross through it again here. The only way I could have gone from 1 to negative 3 is if I went through 0. So between 1 and 2, I should have another 0. Okay, so those aren't a whole lot, well, they're a little confusing, but they're also not a whole lot to do, right? There's not a lot of work involved. Okay, we're only going to do that if they just give me a picture with no equation, or if they just give me the table with no equation. Then we don't really have a choice. We have to do it that way. If we do get a formula or an equation, and the directions say tell what they're between, we're not going to do it. We're going to use our calculators and get as close as we can. Okay? So we got 2x squared. Oh, we should just clear. 2x squared minus 3x minus 19. Graph. and I'm still really far zoomed out. So remember what I said at the beginning of the lesson? If your graph's really far zoomed out or you're off for whatever reason, zoom standard. Enter, and there we go. Okay, it looks like that one's a nice one, and it looks like this one's not a nice one. Okay, so we're going to go through our same process we've been doing, and let's go to 2 decimal places. Let's see if you can do this one on your own. Go ahead and push pause and see if we can get the answer to 2 decimal places. Okay, let's see how you did. Second trace, 0. Where are we at? We're at 0, 1. We're coming back up to the top. There we are. Okay, so left, 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 enter. Right, 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 enter. Guess in the middle. 3.922. Okay, so this is not one of those where it's 3.99999, so this is probably not 4. This one we're going to have to just go with 3.92. So we got 3.92. And what's our other one going to be? If it was like 3.9999999, then we could call it 4. But it's 3.922. That's probably not going to be 4. All right, second trace, 0. Let's do the other side. Scoot all the way over. Left, 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 enter. Right, 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 enter. Guess in the middle. Negative 2.422. Let's call it negative 2.42. All right, there we go. So, if it gives us only a picture or only a table with no equation, we have to play their game. And we have to tell them what ones it's between. We have no other choice. If they do give us an equation and it says to tell what they're between, we're not going to do that. If we have an equation, we're going to get the actual answer. All right, and use your calculator to get as close as we can. Let's go 2 decimal places unless it says otherwise. We'll go with 3.92, negative 2.42. Okay? All right, folks. I'm not sure if this is an old note sheet. I'm not sure if this matches up perfectly with the new homework, so double check before you just blindly do this. Double check your most current homework slip and before you do your homework there. So double check to make sure that that matches up with the homework slip. If it's different, do what the homework slip says. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Good luck.